I sat shackled to a steel rail in the Ingleside police station, hot, salty tears streaming down my cheeks, believing I would never again see my beloved dog, Mickey. He was the finest friend ever to frolic on 4 furry feet. His wolf-like appearance belied a gentle nature. I thought Mickey was the only living creature who cared about me. It was October 2004, and my hometown of San Francisco had devolved into such a draconian state that my arresting officer, Officer Pagano, wouldn't even let me walk my dog in the streets while carrying an item I just shoplifted in my jacket and a 1/16 of an ounce of methamphetamine in my pocket. Police state, man. I sat shackled on a metal bench that was like an autopsy table, the tile wall behind my back as hard as a headstone, staring down at a drain carved into sloping cement. I thought back to another store. I thought back to another floor I'd stood upon in a pet store years before, as I looked across the room and seen him, Mickey, as a puppy. I crouched down, threw open my arms. Mickey drew a bead on me, started racing towards me, a blur of fur, gray, black, and white. Tongue flapping, tail wagging, toenails scrabbling, he raced towards me, leapt up, and bit me. Right on the nose. Mickey might have had a sixth sense about him and known that I mostly used my nose for snorting meth. I brought him home to the home I owned. 3 glorious stories that I'd left my biotech career and was cashing in my life savings to turn into a palace for Mickey and I. The years went by. My drug addiction got worse. I let go of all my other relationships till it was just me and Mickey. Eventually, I lost our home, moved us into a box of a studio apartment. On that October night, I had nothing left to feed Mickey. I looped his leather leash around my wrist, shambled to a supermarket, stashed a package of hamburger in my jacket. Store security called the cops. A police vehicle screeched to a halt, rooftop beacons blaring. Out leapt Officer Pagano, shouting instructions. I lashed Mickey's leash to a parking meter, set the purloined hamburger atop a car bumper. As Officer Pagano had me assume the position, Mickey the dog ate the hamburger, destroyed the evidence. A man's best friend. Mickey would end up serving a stretch in the kennel on an obstruction of justice beef. I went off to jail too, but not before I sat shackled to that steel rail and Officer Pagano uttered words which would help change the course of my life. She said, "I hope you get back on track. I hope you get back on track." It was the way she said it. I believed Officer Pagano cared about me, insofar as she cared about human beings in general, and I, even if just barely at the time, fit into that category. Well, I went to jail. I got out. I got Mickey back. I spent years bouncing in and out of addiction, drug rehabs, a psychiatric ward, jail cells. Eventually, I lost Mickey. He ended up moving to the East Coast with his caretaker. I like to picture him living out his days romping through a green field alongside his caretaker's young son, bringing joy and love into that boy's heart the way he brought joy and love into mine. As for me, I got clean in 2007, inspired by Officer Pagano's words. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Nice. Inspired by Officer Pagano's words, I got my life back on track. And as for Officer Pagano, today she's a police captain, and she and I, we're friends. She supports my turning my life around as I work with formerly incarcerated persons to help them start businesses and gain employment, and as I help other addicts get their lives back on track too. There. Now, there was a reason that Captain Pagano showed compassion for me that October night in 2004. It was because she cared about humanity, yes, but there was another reason too, and you might have guessed it already. Captain Pagano at the time was a dog owner. Folks, we live in a highly polarized society. In few places is that more evident than in the intersection between law enforcement and the persons they arrest. But if Captain Pagano and I can bond over a common interest in dogs, just imagine what other benefits there may be to society from these wonderful animals.